Hello, everyone. Good evening. If you can get me, please kindly type yes in the chat. If you can get me, kindly type yes in the chat. If you can get me, kindly type yes in the chat. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all welcome to the day 10 of the African Digital Summit 2025, where innovation meets impact and digital transformation leads the way to a more sustainable future. Today's theme focuses on environmental and sustainable innovation, which explores how digital technology can drive environmental responsibility, green practices, and long-term economic resilience across Africa. So we are honored to begin this session with our keynote speaker by name Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson Kiptanui, a leading voice in green IT and digital sustainability. He will challenge us to rethink how we build, consume, and innovate in a digital fast world without compromising our planet's future. So, following the keynotes, we will dive into a powerful panel discussion featuring three powerful leaders shaping Africa's sustainable innovation landscape. These speakers include, we have Job Kasambyo, who will speak on cultivating Africa's next digital creators, highlighting how young innovators can adopt sustainable thinking in their digital ventures. Then we are going to move to Madame Bivali, who will unpack the impact of digital development on sustainability, addressing the intersection between tech growth and environmental responsibility. And finally, we are going to move to Madame Gladys, who will walk us through understanding the cellular economy and how this model is transforming business practices and supply chain across Africa. Together, these voices will help us understand the critical question: how can Africa lead the charge towards a digital economy that is not only profitable, but also sustainable and inclusive? So, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much of your time, we are going to move straight to the first speaker by name Mr. Jackson. So, Mr. Jackson is a visionary green IT strategist and climate tech innovator shaping the future of sustainable technology across Africa, as I earlier mentioned. With over a decade of experience and PMP certification in project management, Jackson has led groundbreaking work in low carbon digital transformation, building energy efficient IT systems, and climate aligned fintech innovations that drive both performance and planetary responsibility. His work stands at the intersection of technology, climate action, and innovation, collaborating with the government, corporates, and development agencies to build resilient, eco-conscious digital ecosystems. From the ESG strategy to responsible AI and green cloud infrastructure, Jackson's approach helps organizations align digital advancement with sustainable goals, guiding Africa's tech sector towards a net zero future. Today, Jackson will deliver a keynote on green IT and digital sustainability, offering powerful insights on how Africa can lead a global green tech revolution. His session will unpack the tools, framework, and mindset shifts required to ensure that Africa's digital transformation fuels economic growth while protecting the environment. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the next 20 minutes, Jackson is going to actually grace us through. And of course, at the end of his session, we are going to have opportunities to ask questions. So join us as we welcome Jackson, who is about to empower us to reimagine the future where technology drives not just innovation, but climate impact and sustainable progress. Mr. Jackson, if you are there, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
And I have pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, we can get you clear.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen.
We just lost you. I think we just lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Let me share my screen. 1 minute. Can you be able to see my screen? If you
yes,
can,
please,
please.
can.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. So, as I've been introduced, my name is Jackson. I'm from Kenya.
I'm sorry, we can only see the Microsoft Teams screen. I don't know if you already shared your slides.
Okay. Just hold on. Let me reshare.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay. Just hold on. Can you see them now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, so I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a digital sustainability advocate. So I'm going to give you a primer because digital sustainability and green IT is quite an upcoming sector or area of study. It has been growing a lot, especially in Europe. Europe, they are quite advanced in digital sustainability and green IT. So the rest of the world are catching up. I think primarily it's being driven by uptake of technology within those areas. So allow me to just quickly educate us on digital sustainability. So in case you have any questions, feel free to stop me. You can use the emojis. Yeah, you can raise up your hand. So let's just put this discussion into perspective. Why is there an agency of digital sustainability? So we are expecting almost 1 billion internet users in Africa by the year 2030. So that is a huge population who are going to be internet enabled. The other driving factor is we are seeing global emissions in the ICT sector raising. So currently it sits at around 4%, with estimates, pointing it to 10% by the year 2040. So that is a big jump. And quite a rapid increase in emissions. So this really puts digital sustainability as a matter of priority. And I'm really thankful for such forums where we can be able to learn, about digital sustainability. So there is a lot of discussions around whether software is physical or is not physical. I know most of us might be thinking that software is really not tangible, but it has been proven a lot that, by scientists, that software is physical. If you can be able to trace back, the effects of even the code. So when you write a code, it runs on a CPU. So the CPU, creates energy, which creates heat, which results into, hardware deteriorating. So in that just small scope, you can just understand that software is physical. But also we have hardware. Hardware is quite easy to understand because it's something that you can see. The monitors, the laptops, the phones, the towers. So those are all physical IT infrastructure. And mostly it has what we call embedded carbon in it. In fact, there is a research that has been done that, every laptop that we are using, we use, excavate about 8 tons of soil in order to be able to generate, the minerals or materials that are used to manufacture, laptops. So that is a, big excavation that has to be done, to just make one laptop. So this is really a very important fact that we need to appreciate, that software is physical. It's not an intangible thing. It's physical. You can be able to see its effects in a physical way. So defining digital sustainability, we need to define it in 3 aspects: environmental, social, and economic. So when we are discussing its environmental aspect, we are talking about minimizing the energy use. In this case, the equipment, the laptops, the CPUs, the phones, reducing e-waste. E-waste is waste that results from IT products. For example, your phone, once it spoils, most people throw it away and they don't know where it ends up. So in that regard, that phone that is no longer in use, it's an e-waste. Then, of course, using renewable energy as a preferred energy source for powering ICT equipments. So when we look at the social aspect of it, mainly we are talking about promoting inclusion, ensuring equity, and protecting data privacy. Those are really key social factors, especially on inclusion. I think most of Africa, I am not sure about the percentage, but they are excluded from the digital economy. So I see a lot of effort that goes there, teaching people, or educating people, or bringing people that are excluded from the digital economy into that economy. I think in our country, there is a lot of funding that has gone to putting up a fiber network. I think the government wants to use that infrastructure to bring as many people as possible into the digital economy. The other, of course, factor that we need to think about when we are defining digital sustainability is it's the economic value. So we need to build, viable ecosystems, create reusable systems, and drive innovation. So those are key components of economic drivers. So building viable ecosystems that can self-sustain, ecosystems that can create more value to the populace. Creating reusable systems that we can be able to reuse as many times as possible before declaring it redundant. For example, we need a system that can allow or can make the use of IT equipment longer. We need a system that allows for example, mobile phones. It can be able to stimulate a lot of people who are, for example, repair phones, so that they can be able to elongate the life of that particular mobile phone. We also need operating systems that can be able to be used in a phone for longer. I think if you've used most of the time Apple devices, you find that at some point you cannot no longer upgrade the iOS. So that really is a form of exclusion. You cannot enjoy new features. You cannot enjoy, upgraded performance, because they have kind of excluded you from those benefits. So that means they, at some point, will force you to buy another phone. So we need such kind of systems that you can create a lot of reusability of technology. So let's talk about the environmental footprint. So ICT impact is quite huge. And they're estimating that we have about 25% of sustainable carbon budget that is remaining. So it's getting exhausted fast. And largely it's being driven by the AI and data centers. So in fact, people are estimating that AI in data centers could be emitting as much as carbon as one country. I think if you've been following President Trump's visit to the Middle East, you'll understand that a lot of investment, is going to AI and data centers. So the question that we're asking ourselves, what will be used to power those data centers? How will AI be optimized for energy efficiency? So that is something that we need to talk about it quite openly. We're having data centers being built in Africa. So what is powering them? Is it renewable energy, or are we using fossil fuel? In fact, Kenya has had a lot of data centers being open or being constructed purely because about probably in 80% plus of our energy is renewable. mostly from geothermal energy. So that really pulls a lot of demand for data centers, because ours is the renewable energy. So that is something we need to check. We're also having an e-waste crisis. Only 12% of recycled, only 12% of ICT equipment are recycled in the continent. 12%. Remember, we have a very young population who are going to increase, the demand for this equipment. So if you're having only 12% being recycled, that means we are staring at a crisis down the line on e-waste. So let's think about around that particular area on how we're going to reduce e-waste. On the flip side, of course, digital technologies are quite enablers. They make a lot of, they make our lives easier. They drive business. They also are used to clean the same environment. So in terms of AI solutions, we have AI solutions that optimize energy use, which reduces pollution. We have IoT applications. So mostly they are used on smart grids. So which, of course, results into managing resources efficiently. And of course, one of the game changers is the mobile technology. I think it has revolutionized, played a big role in our continent in terms of
Mr. Jackson,
inclusion.
sorry, you have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm almost done. So it brings a lot of people into the digital economy. In the process, it supports the SDGs, which I still feel we are behind in getting to attain them. So measuring digital sustainability, it can be measured through life cycle assessment. We have a lot of software that can be used to measure, of course, carbon emissions from our technologies, e.g. called carbon. We can use digital sustainability frameworks. Some of them are used, we have one from Green Foundation. So it's there, hardware monitoring, and we are monitoring the energy use of our equipments so that we can be able to, reduce it. So there are quite a number of benefits of digital sustainability, environmental wins, we have economic advantages, and of course, social impact, which is inclusion and also builds trust in the process. So economic advantages, saving costs, of course, drives innovation. In the process, it creates a lot of jobs. But the question is, with the coming of AI, which jobs are going to be created and which jobs are going to be redundant? So my call to action today is, let's adopt green practices, for example, green coding, which of course leads to a sustainable software development. Use green hosting in your websites. Advocate for renewables. In this sense, renewable energy, clean energy, wind energy, geothermal energy. Those are clean energy, solar. Promote equitable policies. For example, policies that are, promote e-waste recycling. Let's see more of those policies. Also, the starting point of all this is measuring your impact. Track and report your footprint transparently. There are many tools available. So you can be able to measure your website, how much CO2 does it emit? How can you reduce, consumption of your CO2 and such kind of stuff. Yeah, so those are some of the sources of my presentation. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that powerful presentation, Mr. Jackson. So before we move to the panel discussion, please, if you have any question, you are free to ask your question. You can raise up your hand and You're going to bring it up, you ask your question before we can proceed. Any question? You can ask a question in the chat, or you can just raise your hand and we are going to unmute your mic for you to ask your question. All right, so if there are no questions, we are going to move forward. If you have questions as we move ahead, you can jot them down, and towards the end of the session, you are free to ask your questions to any of the speakers. All right, so we are moving now to the panel discussion, and this panel discussion will be handled by Madame Gumsiru Albertine. So, Madame Gumsiru, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor for me to be here with everyone. Please, if you can hear me, just put an emoji in the chat if you can hear me clearly. Okay, thank you very much for indicating. So I'll move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker brings a wealth of experience in environmental advocacy, strategic leadership, and empowering creative solutions. Please welcome Madame Beverly Jalango. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. We are honored to have you with us, Madame, the National President for Miss Ed Kenya. Madame Beverly is a driving force in environmental and sustainability programs across Kenya, leading impactful events, training, and conservation initiatives. Beyond Miss Ed, she is a director at Pro Chaba, a firm specializing in branding and business strategy, supporting local creatives through their eco-innovative platform. Madame Beverly also brings international experience where she provided eco-tech solutions for organizations impacting future generations. Her diverse background includes business consulting in the US with Subway Development, where she strategically grew sales and ensured brand excellence. She is also very passionate about empowering the general public. She's very creative, having founded a fashion house and even coached Miss Kenya contestant. Her broad experience makes her a valuable voice on today's topic. Please, let's give a warm visual welcome to Madame Beverly. We are eager to hear your perspective on environmental and sustainability innovation. You have the floor, Madame Beverly.
I think Madame Bedley is not yet here, so while waiting for her, I think we can move to the next panelist.
Okay. For the next speaker, we have Mr. Job. Mr. Job is currently working at Pakro, Kenya, where he engages and supports actors across the waste value chain, from collecting to recycling to increase material recovery of post-customer packaging. He coordinates logistics, manages a visual database of stakeholders, and conducts training to improve material quality and ensure compliance with environmental regulations. Mr. Job is also a strong advocate for ethical labor practices in this sector. Previously, he worked as a project officer focused on recycling and a member of Eco Africa, where he advised on community-led climate actions and circular economy initiatives. He also co-founded the Life 360-Degree Foundation, empowering individuals with essential life and business skills. With his hands-on experience in waste management and a passion for sustainable practices, we are eager to hear from you, Mr. Job. You're welcome, and we look forward to your perspective on environmental and sustainable innovation in the waste sector. Please, if you do have any questions, you can note them. And Mr. Job, you have 15 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Albertine. It's a bit unfortunate that my laptop is not logged in with my cam.
Please, can you be a little bit more audible? We can't hear you clearly.
Okay, really? Now you can hear me?
Yes. Okay, now.
Okay. So yeah, so thank you very much for this opportunity to be here and speak at the African Digital Conference. I want, first of all, to thank the organizers. I really appreciate how organized that the forums have been. I had requested, as I speak to sustainable innovation, to kind of move a little bit out of the ordinary and discuss something that might not be in the form of traditionally waste management sector and sustainable innovation in that field, but generally something that encompasses sustainable innovation in a way that we are not seeing it as Africans. I think I will start by saying, as we are today, we are here. You know, we might have 7,000 or so participants who we are discussing. African. Who we are discussing, you know, African digital, the African digital space. But in the larger picture of it, how sustainable is it? How sustainable is the growth and the movement of the digital space in Africa? Because sustainability, as we view it should not just be viewed as, you know, the environmental perspective. It's also the people perspective. It's also sustainable development of the sector in itself. We have seen sectors and countries that basically established sectors and industries, but within 10 years, they were overtaken by events, and then because they did not incorporate sustainability in the industries that they basically started. We have seen innovations that happened in the West. We have seen civilizations actually even grow and fall, and we have seen countries that have sustained their growth in such spaces, such as we can quote the United States, which we can say they have sustained their growth in technology for a long time because of some few things. So there is a particular issue about sustainable development in Africa and sustainable innovation, as we are. Africans are very innovative, that I really wanted to speak about today, because we seem to be not to be going in the right direction. We have very passionate individuals, the ones who are part of this forum, but in the bigger picture of the continent, how is the African digital space growing, and how are we utilizing digital tools? Are we using them in a way that in the next 50 years, we will say that, you know, we have grown in it, or are we using them in a way that they will actually lead to our detriment? And so that's why I requested to speak about something called the mindset shift, how we are going to cultivate the Africa's next generation of digital creators and innovators in a very sustainable way, such that we can actually sustain digital growth in Africa. And in this, I want to start by saying we are celebrating a lot of things. We are celebrating widespread adoption of technology in Africa. There is a vibrant engagement of people, in our online space. And we have integrated ourselves into the digital sphere, like considering like what we are doing here as, we are international. Basically, we are doing the same things that the world is doing. But what role is Africa really playing in the global sphere in this? So are we positioning ourselves sustainably, as consumers of digital technologies and content, or are we really being architects for the digital future that we really want, that is sustainable, and for us to be basically producers of this technology? And this speaks to sustainable innovation, because innovation can be innovation. It could be, we are moving, we have had, phases and what in agile management we call sprints. A sprint in Africa where we rush towards something, and then after 5 years, that is done and we don't speak about it. And then another sprint, technological sprint. But you find that, are we sustainable in what we are doing, and how do we ensure that progressively we create sustainable innovations around the digital sphere, not just in waste management, not just in environment, but across everywhere. So it is not an academic question. It's basically a question of how we do our things, because currently I wanted to speak about how, number one, we find ourselves in a digital consumption trap, because a very big portion of our digital, what I would call bandwidth there, and our user base is basically captured by platforms and content that is developed outside Africa. So basically, the primary value that is generated from this digital engagement, I would not want to mention it, but including basically the software that we are using, all these engagements flow outward and they flow away from Africa. And just to mention, I realize and I recognize that there is a lot of innovation that is happening in Africa, and there are some very interesting and exciting developments. But I see a very concerning trend where we seem to basically focus on low complexity applications. Where I'm coming from in Kenya right now, we are grappling, and the government is grappling with an upsurge of betting shops, some low-level social media derivatives, and and influencer-focused apps. So that is the level of engagement we are having. And while these are good for entertainment and they have their place, are they really enough? Are we really maximizing? Just a minute. Are we really maximizing our capacities in using the digital potential and the digital space in Africa? Because now, if we tend to move towards being more or less consumers, and a great portion of the African continent ends up being a consumer population, we risk an imbalance, which could actually be an economic. So it limits basically our usage of skills, our creation of high value jobs. And that's why you find, like, we have software developers, but you look at the level that we are operating in Africa and the level that is at Silicon Valley. And given that the digital space is a space that is generally leveled up, because you have the same kind of access, be it hardware and software availability. If you have internet and someone has internet for 5 years in America, 5 years in, say, Africa or Kenya, basically we are able to do the same things. But our focus seems to be on digital consumption, the number of hours that we are using, and the kind of programs that we are creating. How are we going to sustainably move to a point where we are doing what Jackson was speaking about, developing global MVPs for Internet of Things, developing such? Because we seem to have what now I am describing as a mindset issue that is kind of like consumer, and consumer in a way that what we are producing is not a producer. We are producing digital platforms, digital content that is basically consumer, but we cannot basically say that is creator. So because technology is a very powerful tool, and that's why we are here, and the digital space is basically the next frontier, the current and the next frontier. I wanted to speak about how we can move from, and very briefly now, how we can move from being a consumer market or a producer of consumer digital products to how we can move to producer markets, and maybe how we can increase the number of African people engaging in innovations that actually can compete at a global scale. Say Uber, say, even social media platforms that can be that great. And the first thing actually is starting by having something we are calling a creator mindset. As we are now, as we are sitting here, we have people I've engaged with a lot of people on LinkedIn, and I realized, like, yes, we have people who can actually do great things in the digital space in Africa. But we need, first of all, to develop something we call the creator mindset in everything that we do, such that we are not just describers of technologies or users, but it is how we basically approach the world. So it's being proactive and not being reactive to things. It's about resilience in the face of setbacks, such that when someone is developing an app, you're not just developing a minimum viable product and then you get your first capital and then you're basically good to go. It is seeing failures not as defeats, but as learning opportunities. When we are developing digital content, when we are developing our brands. So it is basically growth oriented, the growth mindset. So for us to create sustainable innovations in Africa and basically across the whole digital space in Africa, such that in the next 10 to 15 years, we can globally have our own Silicon Valley. We will have to be fueled by a sense of purpose and a lot of curiosity. That is something that is ingrained in, as I'll speak about it later, in the way that we basically educate people, the way we formulate what we have here, African Digital Conference. What are we looking for? Are we looking to just invite Job to kind of speak to, what is there in waste management, or to how maybe the waste management sector can basically grow? So it is not passive. It's not a consumer mindset. It's not just describing things and characterizing them. It drives sustained effort and meaningful innovation. So that is the first thing we need to do. And I think I can give the example of China. China, what really has system is the digital space is a creator mindset, and it's a very important component for any sustainable innovation, not just in the environmental space, but across board. So the second one that I would say is we need to move from just being basics. I remember I was in college at some point, and there was some courses that, we went out there and we registered for, not in our college, but basically the whole idea was software development. But the kind of content that we got was not sufficient enough for us to build any, could be Facebook-ish, so to say. So for us to create sustainable innovations in Africa, we need to, number two, build something that I call deep technology competencies. And this is basically cultivating expertise in the high value fields, say artificial intelligence. So as we speak about the Africa Digital Conference, we should be speaking about how we can influence universities, our colleges, our policymakers to integrate artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum, you know about this quantum, the whole quantum space, you hear about it in America and all those places. But why not in Africa? They have the same digital competencies as they have. We can basically develop as they can if we have the deep technological competencies. So things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, robotics, Internet of Things, like Jackson said, they should not be things that we are speaking about. They should be things that are integrated in our current and even in our children's curriculums, such that sustainably we can create a digital space that is proactive, that can sustain the growth that we have. Otherwise, we end up just being consumers of this. So it is also very crucial for me because I realized, across the world, Africa is one of the continents that is facing the greatest challenges. And most of these challenges, given the digital competence that we are talking about, we can basically achieve global competitiveness. And basically, it gives us a tool to just rise above our challenges and basically join the world if we can basically incorporate these deep tech competencies in not just our curriculums, but everywhere, wherever I'm working. So am I using Internet of Things? Are we using big data? Whatever you're doing in your sphere, what deep tech competence are you incorporating into your system? If you're working in the waste management sector, you're working in branding, what are you doing that is really tapping into what is there as deep tech currently? So I feel like, and this is for basically those digital creators and digital innovators that we have, I feel it is very critical that we empower them to basically have the latest tools and the latest competencies. And with those ones, we will be good to go to achieve sustainable innovation, and sustainable in the way that it is something that we do now and catch up with the world and we move with the world and maybe even lead the world. So yeah, the third one, I think Albertine spoke to that. I also have a program where we tend not just to develop people in their professional competencies, but also in their personal competencies. And that is one thing that we need to look into in Africa, because we are losing a lot of talent to a lot of things that are basically not really technical, but they are really personal. So technical skills are not sufficient. So we need broader foundations for effective and responsible application. And this is what I call holistic development in our digital space. Like whatever you're doing, if you're a brand manager, if you have the capacity to organize a function such as this, if you are a leader in your field, you must recognize that technical training and the mindset will not work alone in isolation to ensure that whatever you're doing is sustainable and you can basically sustain your innovation. So you need skills like emotional intelligence, which are very critical. And maybe I'm forgetting to give examples, but if you look at the gentleman who founded things like Microsoft, and the biggest brands, people like Oprah and all that, there was a level of emotional intelligence that is critical to navigate the challenges that come with innovation, making ethical judgments, building strong teams. So there is an element of developing not just the technical skills, but also that you realize that You will have someone who is very good in their job, but in one way or the other, they may lack the capacity to be Steve Jobs. Why? It's because Steve Jobs had a way with his words. He had emotional intelligence. He knew how to build strong teams, and at a very young age. And that is why we have $1 billion industry basically under his name. So on top, in order to create sustainable innovation, you need to create among our digital space creators and innovators who basically not only have all that, but they basically have all these other soft skills. You may call them soft skills, you may call them whatever you may call them, leadership, so that now they can scale these ideas and they build impactful organizations. Otherwise, now you lose $1 billion just because this person has a good product, but they do not have what it takes. Yeah, and then again, also civic engagement. Yeah. So for me, everything around the work that we do, be it environmental, be it civil, be it whatever space you are in, be it human rights. I'm running out of time, Albertine.
Yes, sir. Your time is already up.
Okay, then you'll give me 2 minutes. Just finalize.
Okay, please do round up.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so for me, the whole person approach is a very important thing for our digital creators, our digital innovators, and I believe anyone who is attending this conference, they are people who are actually creating something or desiring to do something of impact in the digital space in Africa, and so sustainably. So that is another important thing. So finally, the environment that we have, and that is where I want to end with the African Digital Conference. We need to create such ecosystems and linkages, and I really appreciate how the organizers have been telling us linking, talk to each other, connect with each other, because these interconnected networks are what basically are ingredients for success, because they are what will assist us basically to form capital. They will assist us to work with governments to create enabling policies and infrastructure for this. I had the organizers speak about it the other day. Yeah. And they are the ones that will assist us to actually co-found things when someone is in Ghana and I'm in Kenya, when we found an app. So we also need to create that ecosystem that supports each other so that now we create sustainable innovations. So I think I'm done. So I'm just trying to say, like, to whoever is here, you are an entrepreneur. Maybe I can just tell you to aim higher and to pursue deep tech that addresses the fundamental challenges in your field. If you're a developer, pursue to be a master, not just proficient, but, an expert, an educator, reform the culture and advocate at large. Celebrate your local creation and support it so that it can actually become sustainable innovation that is actually scaled globally. Thank you very much. And thank you for extending my time, Albert.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for this insightful presentation. To quickly recap some key takeaways, you spoke about the need of us using these various digital platforms to their full potential, the importance of having a creative mindset, being proactive, and also to develop a resilient spirit when we are faced with challenges. Your main objective, if I got you clearly, was to increase the producer market in Africa and reduce the consumer market. Thank you for this insightful presentation. If anybody has any questions, you can drop them at the chat box and we ask Mr. Job at the end of the session. Thank you, Mr. Job. Any questions? No questions, so we will move to the next presenter for the evening, Madam Gladys. She is the CEO of Intelligent Business Consultancy Limited, driving financial inclusion and empowering underserved communities through microfinance, a certified associate trainer for the ITC ILO, and a seasoned business and economic analyst. Madam Gladys, brings a wealth of knowledge in economic development and community empowerment. From your perspective in fostering financial inclusion, we would love to hear from your experience. Madam Gladys, you have the floor. Try unmuting yourself. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, madam.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Albertine. Very privileged tonight to be at this lovely conference. Thank you very, very much to all the organizers. So my topic this evening is the circular economy in Africa, a sustainable approach to business, and my screen is being shared. So I want to welcome all of us to our exploration of the circular economy in Africa. Our economy in Africa is almost a 4.5 trillion global opportunity that is transforming how businesses actually operate across the continent. So join me as I'm going to be talking about how our innovative models can turn waste into wealth during this Africa Digital Summit as we share perspectives together. So I want to talk about understanding the circular economy. Our keynote speaker managed to talk briefly about it, but I will still talk about it. The first thing to understand the circular economy is the regeneration of nature. When we talk about regeneration of nature, we are talking about the restoration of ecosystems and building natural capital. This is what we mean by a circular economy, regenerating our nature, our natural resources. The second component is about circulating materials, where we are keeping products and materials in use. So we are not discarding, but we are reusing and we are recycling the materials that we would have used. The third element about understanding the circular economy is about design out waste and pollution, where we are eliminating waste. So we are talking about a lot of elimination in our waste that is produced in our production, in our manufacturing. So we talk about design out your waste and your pollution. So it's very, very important to understand that we are shifting from a take, make, waste model. We are shifting from a take, make, waste model to regenerative models. Mr. Job was talking about us having a digital mindset shift. So we need to shift from a take, make, waste mindset to a regenerative model. So only a small percentage of Africa's recyclable waste is currently processed, which means there is a lot of potential in Africa to recycle our waste. So this is an opportunity for everyone who is on this conference, who is hearing this presentation, and who is hearing this summit, to actually use the opportunity of recycling waste, because only a small percentage in Africa is being currently processed. So there is a lot of opportunity and potential. So by 2030, this represents a 4.5 trillion global economic opportunity, which means there is a lot of opportunity in Africa. So Africa has a lot of unique circular potential. Recyclable waste at 70%, because in Africa we have portions of municipal waste with value potential. We also have a 40% growth rate potential, whereby an annual increase in sustainable business is actually possible in Africa because of the potential of recyclable waste. So we can actually have a 40% increase in the growth rates. We also have an opportunity in Africa of job creation, about a potential of about 3.5 million new jobs, potential circular economy employment by 2030. So there are so many job creation opportunities in the circular economy. Traditional cultural practices already align with secular principles, and Africa can leapfrog wasteful industrial phases entirely. So the sustainable business sector is actually growing rapidly with increasing customer demand. So there is a lot of potential in Africa. What are the key sectors that are driving secular innovation in Africa? We have the food and agriculture sector, whereby we are reducing 40% post-harvest losses. We have examples from here in Zimbabwe, whereby food and agriculture is contributing a lot to the secular innovation. We also have the automotive sector, which is one of the key sectors that is driving innovation through battery and parts repurposing. We also have the fashion and textiles, which is also driving innovation through local materials recycling initiatives. We also have the use of plastics through innovative collection systems. We also have e-waste through tech recovery opportunities. And Mr. Job was talking a lot about these opportunities in the tech space. So very, very important to understand the key sectors that have the potential to drive secular innovation. I want to talk about the success stories that we have in Africa regarding mobility transformation. The first one that I want to talk about is the electric mobility pioneers. Amstad, Stima, and Safi, they lead Rwanda, DRC, and Kenya with affordable electric transport solutions. So we actually have opportunities in the electric transport solutions. Another example is the sustainable transport innovators, Mopepe and Rowam. They create local value chains through electric vehicle manufacturing and conversion. So we can actually see the innovations that are already happening in Africa. We also have digital transformation, which Mr. Job was talking about a lot. Technology is modernizing previously informal services. So ride-hailing apps, they connect customers with the eco-friendly options. So digital transformation is on the rise in Africa. So the mobility sector has actually transformed through digitization over the past 5 years, and new business models prioritize sustainability and the secular principles in Africa. Also in the automotive innovation, we have tire transformation. Pupa and e-cover, they convert used tires into valuable rubber granules for construction and manufacturing. This is a very, very unique innovation. We also have waste to fashion. Free Recycle Limited creates shoes and mats from automotive waste. They employ local artisans, supporting employment creation that we talked about before. We also have chemical innovation. Cubic 38 actually transforms vehicle waste into shoe polish. What an innovation. Their process eliminates hazardous disposal issues. So we have so many success stories in Africa. Now I want to talk about the digital enabler. We actually have digital tools that are enabling the tracking, the verification, and transparency that is needed for secular business models. So technology is actually formalizing previously informal economy through collection and tracking, where we have digital platforms monitoring waste flows. We also have logistics optimization, where we have AI routes, vehicles efficiency. We also have processing and transformation, where we have the Internet of all things optimizing the recycling operations. We also have market connections, where we have e-commerce platforms as where they are selling circular products. What are the business opportunities in the circular transition? There are a number of business opportunities. The first opportunity is we need to be able to identify the waste streams. So it's very, very important for innovators and business people in Africa to spot valuable materials in discarded items so that you are able to identify what can be actually recycled. The second component is to develop processing methods. It's very, very important to create efficient transformation technologies. The third component is about building market connections through linking suppliers, processors, and buyers, and as well as scaling operations through expanding across regions and materials. So the gap between recyclable waste and processing capacity creates marketing opportunities. Small businesses are driving sustainable innovation across Africa. I want to talk about a regional context in Southern Africa, where we have natural resource challenges and opportunities that we can actually take advantage of. In Southern Africa, the opportunities are that they are rich in resources. Southern Africa is abundant in natural resources. These resources include minerals, arable land, and diverse ecosystems. So a lot of opportunities to take advantage of to build a circular economy. In Africa as well, we have environmental risks. Extraction and processing are posing environmental risk as well. Water scarcity is a challenge, pollution is a challenge, and habitat loss and are major concerns in Southern Africa. But we also have a circular potential that is very, very huge in Southern Africa. The region can lead in circular solutions. These address resource challenges. They actually unlock economic opportunities in Southern Africa. So what are the key success factors for circular businesses that the young people, the business people in Africa should consider? Number one is the cross-sector collaboration. Partnerships between government, business, and communities actually create stronger systems. Joint initiatives, they overcome the infrastructure gaps. The second key success factor is a supportive policy framework. Very, very important. Research from 2021 to 2023 shows that clear regulations actually accelerate adoption. Tax incentives, they reward circular practices. So this is a call for governments to actually incentivize businesses that are participating in the circular economy. Number three is the access to financing. Specialized funding mechanisms that support early stage circular businesses and also impact investors that target sustainable ventures. Number four is education and skills development. Training programs that are built together to build a circular economy expertise, technical knowledge that enables innovative solutions. So it's very, very important to have education and skills development as a key success factor for circular businesses in Africa. So what are the next steps or the call to action to joining the circular economy revolution? Number one is to identify waste value. Very, very important to be able to analyze waste streams in your area with potential for value creation. Number two, to be able to leverage digital tools by adopting platforms that enable tracking, trading, and transparency. Number three is to be able to connect with initiatives, join Andes Climate Action Agenda, and also meet as rural sustainability initiatives. So it's very, very important that we go and research and link up with Andes Climate Action and also Midas Rural Sustainability Initiative. Number four is to be able to collaborate for scale. collaboration is very, very important in the circular economy. Partner with others to build Africa's sustainable economic future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for respecting 15 minutes. Thank you. You had such an insightful presentation, which was very clear on what you wanted us to keep in mind. So we're going to go to the next speaker, Madame Bethley, which was not there at the beginning. Madame Bethley, are you there? Please just indicate with an emoji.
I think Madame Bivole is not around. So we can proceed to the Q&A, or if we still have another speaker, we can proceed.
Okay, we have exhausted all our speakers for today. We can now move to questions and answers. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or just put your question in the chat box and I'll read it out. Any questions? While we are waiting for the questions, please do well to connect with our speakers. Please, Madam, all our speakers, can you put your various handles in the chat box so that people can connect with you? Send a link so people can connect with you on your various platforms. So I'll just give 2 minutes so we can connect with our various speakers. If no questions, then we have come to the end of this session.
Sorry, we cannot. Sorry, I have some questions for the speakers. So
okay, go ahead, Mr. Tamo.
we have a Q&A. So probably I need to get more insights on speakers. Just give me. I just want to bring up the speakers in the spotlight so that we have. All right, so my first question goes to Mr. Jackson. I don't know if he's still around. So, Mr. Jackson, you've worked extensively in developing climate-friendly digital infrastructures. So, what does digital sustainability mean in the African context? I will take the question again. My question goes thus: what does digital sustainability mean in the African context? Mr. Jackson, your mic is muted. I don't know if you can get me. All right, while waiting for Mr. Jackson, I will move over to Madame Gladys. So, Madame Gladys, the concept of the circular economy is actually gaining traction. So, what does it look like in practice for African small and medium-sized enterprises?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. In Africa, if we are looking at our SMEs, there is actually a lot of potential like the example I was giving in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, there are actually examples in the farming sector where we have organic waste which is being used as fertilizer. So composting is something that is very, very common, even amongst SMEs in Africa. So that's actually a very potential area where we are seeing a lot of young farmers utilizing organic waste to use it as fertilizer. We are also experiencing issues of water efficiency through drip irrigation that is being optimized for water use. We are also experiencing crop rotation through soil health that is actually improving naturally. And as well as the increase in the usage of digital devices is actually increasing in Africa. If we actually see that even the young people, the young children who are below 18, they are now being born digitally savvy. So which is actually a potential for the circular economy, where we are seeing that the young generation that is coming is actually a generation that understands digitalization. So there is opportunity there in terms of participating in the circular economy in Africa.
Thank you very much for that. So I will redirect my next question to Mr. Job. I hope he's available. Mr. Job, are you there?
He is muted.
Yeah, I keep doing this. Yeah. So the question was, how does digital sustainability look like in the African context? Was that the question?
Yes.
In my view.
Yes.
Do you want a projection or what I would describe as digital sustainability, or both? I can.
Yeah, you can just elaborate on both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, there are several facets. It's kind of like what Gladys was talking about when you're talking about the waste management sector. You can speak about two things and they are still right. There is circular economy. It's everything is interesting. So digital sustainability in itself, number one, is what I was talking about. How do we ensure that our digital, what I would call innovations, are our digital growth, as I was speaking about it, it kind of grows in a way that is sustainable. And sustainable could be not just environmental, like I've said. Sustainability incorporates a lot of things. It's about people, yeah. It's about the environment. It is about human rights. It's another very interesting concept. Sustainability is about taking care of basically the whole ecosystem and environment. So how would I describe digital sustainability in the African context? I would describe it as, number one, that is conscious about everything that is around it. You're hearing people talk about the more we use AI and say thank you, the more we are spending more time and more money, and the more we are spending more, now it increases the carbon footprint. Like one thank you, it's costing billions of money, and that is carbon footprints to the ChatGPT company. So it encompasses environment, like responsibility to the environment. Digital sustainability is also in the content that we produce, such that it is productive and it is building and creating something. We are not just creating content for the sake of, because there is a digital space. There is a digital space you can create whatever product you're doing. Digital sustainability in the African concept, I would also describe it as how far we want to go. And I'll still go back to where I said that we need to move to a point where we use the digital capabilities that we have and the digital tools in a way that we're not just thinking about it for what, but for creation. The innovations that everyone was talking about, Jackson, Gladys, that is digital sustainability for me.
All right, thank you very much for that. So you are actually passionate about empowering digital creators in Africa. So what's the biggest opportunity you see for young creators today?
That is
still directed to you, Mr. Job.
Yes, that is one question that gives me a lot of hope. I can start by an example. So over the last 4 months, I have just seen several startups, digital startups by young Africans, people who just finished college and they started an AI app, teaching app, and in one way or the other, it has blown. They are moving all over. They are in Ghana, they're in Tanzania. There is what I think I'll share a link to some of these digital innovations on my LinkedIn after this. I have seen a waste management. Let me call it company, but let's just call it a startup. It was basically just the idea. I've seen it move just from there to a minimum viable product that is actually getting traction and getting people funding it so that actually it could achieve what Gladys was talking about, from collection to organizing logistics to market linkages. So there is so much, and it's such a big field. Whatever anyone can perceive, there is so much potential and very little cost considering where we are now. So I look at that space and it is a very big space. Another one, basically I'll talk about your field, where it's about communication and all that. A communication media house that was just started the other day to just specifically focus on a niche of focusing and showcasing African success stories, because we have all been talking about, Africa, our news is all about, corruption. So they just focus on that niche and they have won awards, they have won fellowships just because they focused on that. So I look at that space and what it looks to me, it's every field, I would say, as long as you find your own niche in the digital space, every field, as long as you become a creator and an innovator, think how you're going to make it better. As long as you just do that and follow your heart and follow the things that I said, I'm pretty confident that everything has some value. So everything has value. I would not point to one and leave the other. Honestly, I've seen it across board.
All right, thank you very much for that explicit answer. So I'm going back to Madame Gladys. So Madame Gladys, how can cellular economy thinking help reduce poverty and promote resilience in an informal sector?
Okay, thank you very much. We talked about the potential that is in the circular economy of job creation. A lot of job creation is possible. There is a huge opportunity for job creation. So job creation will help to actually reduce poverty. And like Job said, some of the innovations that are required for the circular economy, they require low capital, which is actually a potential for even our young people. I talked about the examples in Zimbabwe and Botswana in the farming sector where compost is being used to make and produce some fertilizers. So that's a low cost production. So we are seeing potential of low cost production, low cost businesses, and the opportunity and potential for job creation, which is also going to reduce the levels of poverty. Job also talked about how these startups in his country are spreading to Tanzania, to Ghana. So it means that their businesses are thriving and they are actually reaching their break-even point, and they are already making profits, and they are able to invest in their secular businesses, which is also going to help to actually reduce our levels of poverty in Africa. Because we talked about the issues of resource productivity. Our resource productivity is also going to cause increase in efficiency of the resources that we are going to be using. And also we talked about the issues of waste reduction, where it's going to cause a decline in landfill waste volume. So this is actually important, and it will actually work to reduce poverty. It will actually work to enhance resilience in our challenging African economies.
Thank you very much for that answer. I don't know if Mr. Jackson is with us. I had a question for you, Mr. Jackson. Are you on right now?
Yes, I'm around.
All right, thank you very much. So you've worked extensively in developing climate-friendly digital infrastructures. So what does digital sustainability mean in the African context?
Yeah, good question. Digital sustainability refers to mainly two things. One is awareness or advocacy, or understanding that technology is composed of two things: software and hardware. And both of those two things contribute to, of course, carbon emissions. So from that point, then you'll understand that digital sustainability involves mainly reducing carbon emissions from software and also hardware. So if we start from that just basic level, then as you know that, of course, there is a lot of digital uptake in Africa, which will keep on expanding. Then this brings about an opportunity. How do we develop software or hardware that is sustainable? How do we have phones that can last more than 10 years instead of 2 years? How can we build software that we can use for longer periods? How can we build a laptop that can stay more than 10 years? You see, so that brings an opportunity, especially for African entrepreneurs, building technology, which in this case, software and hardware that can last longer. Although the other aspects of digital sustainability, which is economic and also social, when you talk about inclusion, how do we get more of our people get into this digital economy? How do we get some of the populations that have been excluded from digital economy, for example, people living with disabilities? How do we get them into the digital economy? How do we get the rural Kenya into the digital economy? See, because so those to me are aspects that we need to think about when we're thinking about digital sustainability in Africa.
Okay, thank you very much. So you really expatiated on green IT and digital sustainability. So in 1 minute, can you explain or can you tell us how tech leaders and startups can actually integrate these green IT principles from day one without significant capital?
Yeah, I'll give you quick examples. One, when you're setting up hosting your website, make sure the host is green. There are many green hosts. 2, when you're launching your app or your web app or your mobile app, measure the emissions that it's emitting. Try to reduce them. For example, video streaming has a lot of energy output. So try to compress your videos, compress your pictures. The other thing is when you're building your software, try to build a software that can be used by many devices over a longer period of time. For example, if I'm using an iPhone 6, then somebody who has an iPhone 16 can also be able to access the software. So those are the quick. The other thing is also using cloud as storage. Instead of using an on-site server, why don't you use cloud? Cloud is more is less energy intensive, and you can manage resources quite efficiently. So those are the quick ways you can be able to. And also green coding. Sorry, I forgot. Green coding. Make sure your code is as minimal as possible. That means it uses the minimum resources, and there are tools that you can use to measure whether your code is how your code is performing, whether there are many unnecessary, or whether it's inefficient. So those are the areas that I can be able to think about.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions from the chat. I'm going through the chat. I don't think there are questions. Please, just 1 minute. If you have a question, you can type in your question in the chat so we can redirect the question to any of the speakers. Any question? All right, no question. So guys, as we close to this powerful session, we are reminded that Africa's digital future must not only be innovative, it must be sustainable. So from Mr. Jackson, who actually gave us an insight on digital sustainability and climate tech, to Madame Gladys, who talked about, who gave us her own economic perspective on inclusive secular growth, it's clear that purpose-driven innovation is the path forward. So each speaker has shown us that we don't have to choose between progress and the planet. With intentional strategy, inclusive policy, and creative leadership, Africa can lead a green digital revolution and empower people, protect the environment, and drive economic resilience. So guys, make sure you take down these messages. Make sure you understand what our presenters have given us today. You can go back through the recorded sessions when we upload them on our YouTube channel to have more insight on what we have gotten today as far as the environmental and sustainability are concerned. Thank you all for joining us today in this powerful session, and we are hoping to have you guys tomorrow again. Please don't forget, we're going to be having our physical events coming up in 6 different African countries. We are going to inform you on the dates and the time when these events are going to come up, so please make sure you follow up, make sure you try to get all the messages in our various forums as far as these sessions are concerned. Again, don't forget to connect with the presenters of today. I'm sure they all have shared their LinkedIn profiles. If they haven't shared that, you're going to get that in the networking forum. And if you have questions as well after this, you can share them in the networking forum. So I'm going to be sharing the link to the attendance sheet right now. Please make sure you fill this attendance sheet before you leave. Don't go and start trying to get to the administrators of the forums or getting to me in respect to the form. If you're unable to fill it at this time, please make sure before you leave, you have filled the attendance sheet. If you have any problem filling the form, make sure you get to us right now or you send a message in the chat. I'll be sharing the link right now. We are going to still open the chat for the next 10 minutes so everyone can fill the attendance form. So thank you all for joining us. I want to thank all the speakers who were able to make it today. For Madame Biveli, I'm sure she will be coming up on another time because I think she had some commitments which did not permit her to be with us today. Okay. And also, as of tomorrow, we might probably have a session tomorrow. We're still working on that. We might have a session tomorrow. We're going to announce that in the forum. If not, then we are going to see you all next week, Monday. Thank you all once again for joining us, and see you all later. Bye-bye for now.